Hey guys, it's Claire. So today I was going to do something a little different that I'm really excited about. So far in all my videos I've been mentioning a lot of high-end and things from Sephora and Ulta. So I thought today would be sort of fun to explore more of the drugstore products I love and to really focus in on those. And the thing I love about drugstore products is it's the best feeling when you find something that's better than like the Chanel foundation you have, or you know, the YSL liner, and it's like $5 or like $10. And I was thinking, you know, maybe I should do a drugstore favorites, but I think it'd be a lot cooler if I could put it all together in one look for you guys so you can really see how I use these products in my makeup looks. So don't want this intro to be too long, so let's just get right into this look. So the first thing I'm going to use is a primer by L'Oreal Paris, and this is the Magic Lumi Primer. I really like this primer a lot. I use this one interchangeably with my Lancome one, and I feel like they have very similar results. So I'm just going to start by priming my face with this. And this, you like one pump is like more than enough. You don't need that much product, which is something I love. A little bit goes a long way. I'm so excited to film this video because I got a new shadow I'm actually going to be using in this that I tested out, and I think I showed it in a haul. So excited to use it. Oh my god. So see, I did like half a pump and I still have so much left on my hand. Like a little bit of this goes a long way. So not only is it cheap, but it's gonna last you a while because the product, you don't even need that much of it. Okay, so the foundation I'm going to be using is this L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow, and I use it in the shade, what shade is this? 204 Natural Buff. Another drugstore foundation I really like that I actually mentioned in a previous favorites or like essentials video was the Wet n Wild Photo Finish. I like them almost the same, but I thought since I mentioned that one in the previous video, it'd be nice to switch it up and go along with this. So I'm just going to be applying this with this Real Techniques by... I'm just going to be applying this with this Real Techniques brush. This is the sculpting brush. I love this for foundation application. It makes my skin and the application look so flawless. Almost forgot to pull back the hair. I hate when my hair is not back. I know I look like an egg, but you need the hair back. Okay, so I'm just putting this on my hand, and then I'm going to use this. One thing I don't like about this foundation that I will say is that I feel like it's very watery. But like, that's not the biggest problem, it's just annoying, but like it doesn't really affect the way that it goes on or anything. I've just noticed that it's a very watery foundation. Just a heads up if I'm not a fan of that. But since it is sort of watery, it spreads and glides on the skin so easily. And this foundation I find to be very comparable to my Chanel foundation. And I mentioned this in, I don't know if I mentioned, no, I didn't mention this one in the video, but I find this to be very comparable to my Chanel one. The only difference is like that this is a dewier finish, which isn't even like a negative thing. It's just like they're different formulas. And I would say this is medium full to like full coverage. And it really is going to cover most of your redness or blemishes on your skin and not really leave much behind. Okay, so now that I put on my foundation, I am going to use the Instant Age Rewind Eraser Dark Circle Eraser under my eyes. I'm going to use it a little bit to highlight. Now this is like my holy grail concealer. I like this more than I think any high-end concealer I've ever tried. I do love the Tarte Shape Tape, but I find that the applicator on that is a bit big, and you know, it takes this, you have a lot of time where you can still move it around. I find that the Tarte Shape Tape, you don't have as much time to move it around, and I think that's why I prefer this one. But of course they're both like really great, and I use them both, but this one's like definitely my favorite. And it's great when your favorite is a drugstore because it's not that expensive. So now I've just put this under my eyes, on my chin, a bit here, and I'm going to blend that down. So I'm just going to blend this in. I've always been a fan of using my finger for blending in concealer. Sometimes I'll use a beauty blender, but I don't know. I just have, for some reason, the beauty blender thing, I've never been a huge fan of beauty blenders. I just like my foundation brushes. And then I like using my finger. I feel like I might just have more control, but I might just need to try a different beauty blender because the one I have is not the real one and it's like too firm, so I think that's the problem. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with this Maybelline Master Strobing Stick, and I love this for highlight. This has a bit of a pinky undertone and it's like very bright. You can see it right there. I love this stuff, and this is a cream, so that's why I'm putting this on before I put on my translucent powder. So actually funny, because I was just hating on the beauty blenders, but this is actually like the one product where I prefer the beauty blender, like literally the one product. So I'm just going to use this Real Technique sponge and sort of blot in the product. Now this highlight, it's very bright, but it's definitely more of like a subtle highlight. On the camera it looks pretty intense though, but in person this is definitely more of a subtle natural glow, which I actually love because, not gonna lie, I think sometimes with this whole like highlight and strobing trend, I think sometimes things are overdone, and yeah, sometimes I love a very like blinding highlight, but a lot of the time I like to go for more natural options. And so after I finish putting on the highlighter, I'm just gonna set everything with this Rimmel London translucent powder. This is actually my favorite translucent powder. I have the Makeup Forever one, but I actually prefer this one. Now I have noticed sometimes you need to be careful with the application of this and make sure you're blending it out fully, because with this product I have noticed that in photos you can have a little bit of a flashback and you'll see a bit of white on your face if you don't blend it properly. So just make sure you're blending this in really well. Okay, so for bronzers, I actually want to mention two. I'm only going to be using one of these, but I thought they were both worth mentioning because I think in this look you could really go for either option. The one I'm going to be using is the Matte Illusion Bronzing Powder, but this is by Bourjois Paris, and I actually don't know if you can buy this at any drugstores in the States. I bought this when I was nannying in Paris. And it's made by the same people that make the Chanel makeup, but this is just like the drugstore version, and I love this. It's very blendable. And this shade I have in Poudre de Soleil. I like it for the summer because I find that it's sort of orangey, which isn't something I like at all during the colder months, but in the summer I like to look glowy and a bit more bronzed. But the other drugstore option I want to mention, in case you can't get a hold of this one, is the Jane Inspire bronzer. This one I like. It's pretty similar to this. It's a bit lighter. So if you're fair skin tone, this should work really well. I think this may come in different shades. I don't know though, so I'll have to look into that. But this I also like for the same reasons as this one. They're so blendable, and they're of course both so affordable. So I'm just gonna go in with my my favorite fan brush that I'm always using for bronzer, and this one's by Sephora, and I'm just gonna sort of get around my face and bronze things up a bit. You know, it's summer, so I really like being bronzed. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I might go out of hand with this. And something I've found is that sometimes when I'm bronzing, I find, you know, because I go around my face, I sometimes come in here a little bit, and sometimes I find that the outside of my face looks so tan and then the inside's pale. It just looks like, you know, it's almost like an ombre effect from like outside going in. So how I've like to fix that is I just take a little bit of this, make sure I'm getting around my nose a bit, but I just do that very, very lightly. And now for blush, I'm going to be going in with this E.L.F. blush palette. I actually ordered this online because I heard someone saying good things about this. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have said good things about this, but I was honestly shocked by how pigmented these blushes are, and they're 4 really pretty shades. Not gonna lie, I don't use this one too much. It's a bit too dark for my skin tone, but these 3 pinks here I've been loving. And so I'm actually going to go in with this very peachy one. This one has, these 2 are more matte, but this one has a bit more shimmer to it. So you can see just from swatching it on my finger how pigmented this is. Like, it's crazy. Like, so I like to go in with a very light application of that. And so the brush I'm going to be using for this is by Eco Tools. I don't know the specific name of this brush, but I just like to tap a little bit on the edge, tap it off because it's so pigmented. Just put this on my cheeks. Look, like this is crazy pigmented. You can see how much that did. So this, like, look how much is on there. So I'm just going to come in with this brush and blend this out and soften things up because it's easy to accidentally go with a heavy hand for that E.L.F. blush. Just be warned, it's so pigmented, but it's so pretty if you're able to, you know, put it on right and blend everything out. Okay, so before I move on to my eyes, I'm just going to address my brows. Now you may be shocked by this, but I love a good filled in brow, but sometimes I sort of like to rock a more natural brow look. So what I'm going to do, and since this is like a summery makeup look and I want to be very glowy and like fresh and natural almost, I'm not gonna touch my brows too much. I'm just gonna first, I'm just gonna use a spoolie. But I think I'm just gonna leave them how they are. I do have pretty full eyebrows. They're not really sparse in too many areas, as you probably can tell. So if your eyebrows are a bit more sparse and you wanna, you know, change it up a little and fill it in, of course, do it. This is just what I'm feeling in the moment right now. So for primer, I'm going to use my much loved eyeshadow primer by Wet n Wild. And I love primers that have a bit of a nude tone to them. So it's actually sort of correcting when you put it on. That's what I like. Okay, so the palette I'm going to be using to go in first, the transition shade, is the La Palette in Nude by L'Oreal. When I got this and tried it out, I was shocked at how creamy these were. This has a great mix of nude and sort of like shimmery colors, so I highly recommend it. So I'm going to take my Morphe M533 brush, and I'm going to go in with this shade right here. I like this one because it almost has a goldish tone to it. It's very, you know, it's just a bit darker than my lid color, which is something I want when I'm looking for a transition shade. These are very pigmented, so you just need a little tap into the palette. You don't need too much. So I'm going to blend this into the crease, but for this first one I'm putting on, it's going to really go almost all the way up to the brow bone, in the crease, and sort of almost come onto the lid a bit. This is going to be like covering a lot of my eye. So after putting on that shade in the crease, very loosely, I'm going to go into this Almay Intense eye color palette. This is in the shade 401 Smoky Eye for browns. And I'm just going to use this shade right here. It's sort of a warm brown. And I'm using the Morphe, what brush is this? M139. I'm going to put this in the crease, but I'm going to be more precise with my application to deepen things up a bit. And this color does have a bit of a shimmer to it, which I like. I've been really into shimmery, you know, fun like summer looks. So I'm really going to bring this all the way down to like the front of my eye in the crease. And just make sure I'm blending everything out nicely and into the transition color I had before. And so now I'm going to take the Morphe brush I used before and just blend it a bit more around the edges to make sure it's seamlessly blending before I move on to the next step. So like I said, I've been really into gold, fun like warm colored neutrals, especially for the summer, gold and peaches. So I'm going to take this E.L.F. palette. It's the Prism eyeshadow palette, and these colors are so glittery and pigmented, and honestly, this was so cheap, so worth the money. I think the shades in here are pretty fun too. They're a little bit out of the ordinary. And I'm going to take this very orangey color, and I'm using this sponge applicator. I find that this is really great for sparkly shadows like this that tend to be a bit dusty. This one's from Laura Geller, but you really can use any one. I'm using this because I got it for free with the highlighter I bought. Oh my god, this color is so beautiful. I really recommend this palette. Like, E.L.F. is so affordable, and the pigmentation of these colors is beautiful. I find that with a brush, you know, it may not be the best. It may not at first look like the best. When you go in with a sponge, it really, really makes a difference. So if you have any like shimmer shadows that you think are like not that great and just bad quality, try them with a sponge because you might find that the results are completely different. Okay, so Next, I'm going to go in and sort of go into the brow bone in the inner corner with this really pretty color. This is probably one of my favorite like brow bone highlights. And it's in this Milani eyeshadow palette. Mine's really destroyed because it's loved. It's called Fashion Shadows, and this one's in Designer Browns. I love this. But then again, I do know I'm jumping around from palette to palette a bit, so if you just want to, you know, use one of these palettes, the shade that's in here is also very good for a brow bone highlight and a inner corner color. And I'm just going to be using the other side of this Urban Decay brush. So I'm just applying this, you know, all the way on the brow, and then just a little bit in the corner. I don't want it to be too extreme of a highlight right here, just a little. Now I'm going to do something you might think is a little crazy, but I love blue eyeshadows in the summer. Not really for a whole eye look for an everyday thing, but sort of just as a liner or under the lower lash. And this color I bought and I haven't gotten to use it yet, and I'm obsessed with the way it looks. So this is the Infallible eyeshadow in Endless Sea, and I showed this in a haul, my last haul video. Oh my god, it's so pretty. So I'm going to use this MAC brush. This is just like an eyeliner brush, and I don't know which one this is, but really any eyeliner brush will do. It doesn't have to be this one specifically. So I'm going to start by just putting this under my lower eyelash, my lower lash line, and packing it on. Now be careful, this is a bit like you can see there's a bit of fallout, but if you're careful you should be fine. I'm going to bring this up to the corner a bit on the outer part of my lid just to have everything flow together nicely. Okay, so now that that blue shadow's on my outer lid, I'm just going to blend it in a bit with my finger and sort of tap it on to make sure everything's in place how I want. And sort of, since I got a little fallout under my eye, I was able to wipe most of it away, but I'm just going to go in with a little concealer to cover up what's still there. And now that I'm looking back at this eye, I'm sort of wishing the corners were a bit darker, so I'm going to go in with this brown shade right there, and I'm just going to darken things up just a bit on the outer corner. And this is sort of going to go over the blue, and it's going to blend very nicely. Oh, darn, I got a little bit on my cheek. Why do I always be putting things in the wrong spot? So I'm just putting in a bit of setting spray. You can use whichever one you like. So I'm not feeling liner for this, but I'm just going to curl my eyelashes, and I'm going to use the Supersizer Covergirl mascara, and this is the waterproof version. I love using waterproof because I find it holds my curl a lot better than the non-waterproof versions. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I love this mascara. It's one of my favorite drugstore mascaras. I got a little bit of the mascara under my eye by accident. A tip, if this ever happens to you, wait for it to dry first, and then you can sort of flake it off with your finger or an unused brush, and it's a lot easier and it won't smudge, because that used to happen to me. I'd always get it there and rub at it. It's just going to smudge. Wait for it to dry. It's so much easier. Recommend. So now that I got my eye look finished, I'm just going to go in with this balm. You can use anyone, but this is just the Maui Babe Lip Balm. This is like $2. It's so cheap. So I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to use one of my favorite glosses of all times. This is by NYX. It's such a pretty peachy color, and it's the Butter Gloss in Creme Brulee. I love this. I'm not a huge fan of like crazy lip stuff, I'm not gonna lie, but this is like so pretty and peachy, and you're gonna see like this is gonna look great with this blush and this blue shadow to give a very summery look. Oh my god, I love this gloss. I recommend if you have like anywhere from a fair to a pretty medium skin tone, I think this would look really nice. Okay, so this is the finished look. I think this is great for summer. And it's awesome because every single product I use I got from the drugstore, so it's going to be a very inexpensive thing, and it's all these products I've worn before, and it's not just like they're good, they look good now. No, these are all going to last a long time. So I'll link everything I used down below so you can find it easily and recreate this look. Definitely, if you try to recreate this, send me a photo, comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're interested in more tutorials and makeup videos. that I'll be doing, and if you have any ideas or suggestions, I would love to hear from you. So just comment below if you have anything I should do. I honestly would love to hear your responses. So on that note, I'm just going to come in a bit closer so you can see how everything turned out. This isn't the best lighting, but I love the way this blue liner looks. I love the way the not filled in brow sort of makes everything look more natural and beachy. I'm actually going to lift this up so you can see this a bit better, but I'll put in some photos too because I feel like that might make it easier to sort of see the final product. But I love you guys. Bye!